Have you ever looked at a gorilla, a chimpanzee, or even your own pet dog and wondered, wait, what happened to human fur? After all, humans are mammals. We have eyebrows, we have eyelashes, many people grow beards, and if you look closely, your entire body is actually covered with tiny hairs. So why aren't we covered in thick fur like almost every other mammal on Earth? Did our ancestors slowly lose it? Did evolution simply decide humans didn't need it anymore? Or did losing our fur become one of the greatest survival advantages our species ever developed? Believe it or not, the answer changed the entire history of humanity. But before we uncover one of evolution's biggest secrets, if you enjoy strange history and science questions that school never taught you, make sure to subscribe because there's a lot more coming. Millions of years ago, our ancestors didn't look exactly like modern humans. They were much hairier, more like today's apes than the people walking down the street. Thick body hair protected them from the sun during the day, kept them warm on cooler nights, and helped shield their skin from scratches, insects, and the environment around them. At first, having lots of fur was actually a huge advantage. Imagine living without clothes, houses, sunscreen, or air conditioning. Fur was your jacket, your blanket, and sometimes even your first line of defense against nature. So why would evolution ever get rid of something so useful? The answer begins in Africa, where our early human ancestors evolved. Millions of years ago, the climate slowly changed. Forests began shrinking while wide open grasslands spread across the landscape. Instead of climbing trees all day, our ancestors spent more time walking on the ground. And that's where something incredible happened. Unlike almost every other mammal, humans became experts at walking long distances on just two legs. Standing upright wasn't just about freeing our hands to carry tools or food. It also exposed much less of our bodies directly to the blazing midday sun. But there was still one huge problem. Running across the African savanna under the hot sun is exhausting. Every step generates heat, and if your body gets too hot, your brain and muscles stop working properly. For early humans, overheating could mean the difference between finding dinner or becoming dinner. Nature needed a better cooling system, and surprisingly, the solution wasn't more fur, it was less. One of the greatest superpowers humans ever evolved wasn't intelligence, it wasn't language, it wasn't even making tools, it was sweat. Humans have between 2 and 5 million sweat glands spread across their bodies. That's far more than most mammals. When sweat evaporates from your skin, it carries heat away, cooling your entire body like a natural air conditioner. But here's the catch, that cooling system only works well if sweat can easily evaporate. Imagine wearing a thick winter coat on a scorching summer day. No matter how much you sweat, the coat traps the heat. Thick fur creates the same problem. As our ancestors became more active and spent more time running across open landscapes, carrying around a heavy coat of fur became less helpful and more of a disadvantage. Even today, you can see this difference in animals. Dogs cool themselves mostly by panting. Lions spend the hottest parts of the day resting in the shade. But humans? We can keep moving for hours while sweating the entire time. In fact, scientists believe this ability allowed early humans to use a hunting strategy called persistence hunting. Instead of chasing an animal at full speed, they simply kept following it for hours. Many animals would eventually overheat and become exhausted long before the humans did. Imagine being an antelope that's incredibly fast. You sprint away from a human, you think you've escaped, then 20 minutes later, the same human is still jogging behind you. An hour later, still there. Eventually, the antelope becomes too exhausted to keep running. Humans didn't have to be the fastest, they just had to be the coolest. It may also have helped our ancestors fight something much smaller, parasites. Long before mosquitoes carried diseases around the world, tiny creatures like fleas, ticks, and lice were already making life miserable for mammals. Thick fur creates thousands of tiny hiding places where these parasites can live, feed, and reproduce. Less body hair made it much easier to spot unwanted hitchhikers before they became a serious problem. Imagine trying to find a tick hiding inside the thick fur of a gorilla. Now imagine finding one on your own arm. Much easier. Scientists think this may have reduced infections and diseases, giving less hairy humans another survival advantage. Of course, losing fur created a brand new problem. Without a thick, furry coat, our skin became much more exposed. The hot sun could burn it, cold nights became colder, sharp branches scratched more easily, so evolution had to find another solution. And that's where our skin began changing too. As humans lost more body hair, many populations living under strong sunlight gradually evolved darker skin rich in a pigment called melanin. Melanin acts like a natural sunscreen, helping protect the skin from harmful ultraviolet rays while reducing damage from long hours under the African sun. Later, as humans migrated into places with much less sunlight, some populations gradually evolved lighter skin. This helped their bodies produce enough vitamin D in environments where sunshine was weaker. In other words, our skin didn't simply replace fur, it adapted to the environment instead. But if humans lost most of their fur, why do we still have hair on our heads? That wasn't an accident either. Your scalp sits directly under the hottest part of the sun. Hair acts like a natural umbrella, helping shade the head while still allowing air to circulate. Thick head hair protects the scalp from overheating far better than bare skin exposed all day. It's actually a clever balance. Less hair on the body helps release heat. More hair on the head helps block it. Evolution wasn't removing hair randomly. It was keeping it exactly where it was still useful. And then there's another mystery. Why do men often grow thick beards, while women usually don't? That answer has much more to do with hormones than staying warm.
When boys go through puberty, their bodies begin producing much higher levels of a hormone called testosterone. One of testosterone's many jobs is to encourage facial hair to grow. That's why many men develop beards, mustaches, and thicker body hair as they get older, while most women grow much finer facial hair. Scientists still debate exactly why beards evolved, but one popular idea is that they became a signal of maturity. A thick beard may have helped early humans appear older, stronger, or more intimidating to both rivals and potential mates. Of course, not every man can grow a giant beard. Some can grow one that looks like a majestic lion's mane. Others proudly grow about 7 determined hairs on their chin. You can thank genetics for that, but beards aren't the only hair humans kept. Look at your eyebrows. They're small but incredibly important. Without them, sweat and rain would constantly drip straight into your eyes. Eyebrows help redirect moisture away from your face while also playing a huge role in communication. Think about how much emotion you can show just by raising one eyebrow. Now imagine watching a movie where nobody had eyebrows. Every character would look strangely confused all the time. Your eyelashes are just as important. They work like tiny filters, helping keep dust, dirt, insects, and other small particles away from your eyes. Every time something brushes against them, your eyes automatically blink to protect themselves. So while humans lost most of their thick body fur, evolution carefully kept the hair that still served an important purpose. And here's something even stranger. If humans no longer need thick fur, why do we still get goosebumps? Think about the last time you felt cold, or listened to an amazing song, or watched an emotional movie. Tiny bumps suddenly appeared all over your skin. Those little bumps are actually leftovers from our furry ancestors. Hidden beneath every tiny hair on your body is a microscopic muscle called the erector pili. When you're cold or experience strong emotions, those muscles contract and pull each hair upright. For furry animals, this makes perfect sense. Standing the fur up traps extra air between the hairs, creating better insulation to keep them warm. It can also make an animal look larger and more threatening. For humans, it doesn't really work anymore. We simply don't have enough body hair for the effect to matter very much. In other words, goosebumps are like an old feature evolution forgot to completely uninstall. They're still running, even though the original purpose is mostly gone.
And here's one more surprising fact. Some babies are actually born covered in a thin layer of soft hair. It's called lanugo. Lanugo begins growing while a baby is still developing inside the womb. It helps protect the baby's delicate skin and holds a protective coating called vernix in place. Most of this soft hair falls off before birth or shortly afterward. So if you've ever seen pictures of newborn babies with extra body hair, don't worry, it's completely normal. In a way, it's another small reminder of our evolutionary past. Humans also never became completely hairless. Take a close look at your arm in bright sunlight. You'll probably notice thousands of tiny, almost invisible hairs covering your skin. These fine hairs are called vellus hairs, and nearly every part of your body has them. They're much thinner and lighter than the thick terminal hairs that grow on your head, beard, or underarms. Although they're tiny, they still help your skin sense movement. For example, when a small insect lands on your arm, those little hairs move first, helping your nervous system detect something touching your skin before you even see it. So while humans may look hairless from a distance, we're actually covered with millions of tiny hairs. They're just much shorter and finer than the thick fur covering most other mammals. Of course, not everyone has the same amount of body hair. Some people naturally grow much thicker hair than others. Some can grow grow full beards. Others barely need to shave. Some have hairy arms and legs. Others have very little body hair at all. That's completely normal. Your genes play one of the biggest roles in determining how much hair your body grows. Your ancestors, your hormones, and even your family history all influence your hair patterns. So the next time someone says humans don't have fur, they're only partly right. We never completely lost it. Evolution simply transformed it. Instead of wearing one thick furry coat over our entire bodies, we kept the hair that still helped us and gradually reduced the hair that no longer gave us an advantage. That simple change helped our ancestors stay cooler, travel farther, hunt longer, and eventually spread across nearly every corner of the planet. Millions of years later, you're still carrying the evidence of that incredible journey, just not in the way you might expect.